You know, we actually probably could be together, and it's just some kind of like cosmic anxiety on my part.
I've experienced that same cosmic anxiety in other areas of my life, so I would not put it past that son of a bitch.
The great fucking enemy.
It is in fact one single entity that just affects everyone in different ways. Sort of like how Sheev is trying to push his way into reality via
the omnidirectional Sheev. Fucking shout out to Tom Ryman and company. Fucking. I was going to go on this whole riff about why aren't there anxiety demons in various cultures, and then I remembered the entire sitting ghost thing.
Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. Morgan has gone on about their, what is it called, sleep paralysis demon, and just what it looks like and how it sounds, and that's, man, how terrifying.
That sounds like a real fun member to have in your personal party.
Yeah, I'm glad that mine only affects me when I'm awake. He's invisible then.
You've got a late riser. Or is it an early riser? I guess your sleep... Is there a waking paralysis demon? I guess that's literally the joke we were making, but... I don't know. Demons are fun to come up with, which the author of Dandadan seems to know.
I had a whole lot of fun with this one. This is one that Morgan brought to my attention because they're a big fan of Science Saru, the studio who did the anime adaptation. It's Masaki Yuasa's studio. And he did... He did Take Your Hands Off... Get Your Hands Off Isaac? Take Your Hands Off Isaac? I don't know. The one with the girls who make the anime.
Aizuken. I thought we did an episode on that. Did I dream that?
We did. Yeah. That was a while ago now.
Whatever. We're into 3 digits right now. I'm not responsible for anything. I'm sure I've said some genuinely awful shit.
You're just the most genuinely out of pocket, aged oh so poorly. Man, it'd be a shame if anyone listened to earlier episodes kind of shit.
It would be really crazy if 2 people started an anime podcast in the middle of a global pandemic. I just sort of started talking about their really hinged opinions on local law enforcement all the time.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. No, I make no fucking apologies for that.
Yeah, me neither, but I assume there's some random topic. Like, at some point we just said, everyone in PC Richard and Son should be killed. I'm sure that's in the fucking record somewhere. By the way, as for me and Dan...
This meme was made by Sears Game.
As for me in this program, I'm coming at it from the angle where I have only read it. I basically live inside those little translated manga apps that each company pumps out, so in theory, you could say that the show summary is a lie because I am an instantaneous reader and everything I watch is me basically staple gunning my feet to the floor to get through it.
Whereas I bought myself a Crunchyroll subscription some time ago when I ran out of... So, on Netflix, I think after the time skip, you're out of that's it for One Piece. They don't have any more after that.
Oh, you're
they
just
might have
slapping your wrist like you can't find a fucking vein.
You know, I needed to see how bad the pacing truly was in the anime. So I, post time skip. It wasn't great. It wasn't phenomenal. There was they were outrunning that that fucking boat. I'm gonna be making cracks about like the what were you calling it? The cardio boat?
Yeah, I was calling it the cardio boat, dude. Your fucking Strava miles with that thing, they'll call you the Lord of Prospect Park.
I truly do not want to I do not want to face Giant Mermaid Girl in, a 50-yard dash. She would even on land. Even on land. After that, no, she'd embarrass me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit through that.
I know that they're making the sort of Brotherhood Kai version of the anime because the money train has expanded to its sort of western half, and if I was in that studio, just as sort of as a legacy gag, imagine if the entire cardio boat thing was condensed to 5 minutes.
Okay, this is great. Wait, are you talking about Studio Wit doing the Blue Sea Saga again, or the fact that they are, in fact, doing a remastered, abridged 21-episode version of Fishman Island?
So I am referring to what is currently the blue thing, but I assume that given the money tree and the loving of being employed and making heaps of more money with the same material, that they will hit Fishman Island.
No, I mean that's
Oh, they've announced specifically Fishman Island?
specifically Fishman Island. It's not a remake. It is a remaster / abridgment, and I think they might have.
Oh, so they just know.
They just know. They just they heard us. They heard us talking good shit about Noah, and they're like, "Okay, asshole, bet."
Bro, when there was a 14th second of Sanji versus Giant Shitter, I'm just there yelling, "What the fuck do you think this is? Do I look like a fucking invalid to you?"
Let's move it up. Let's move it along already.
Anyway, my review is that I have read One Piece, and I hear that Science Saru has knocked the Dandadan anime off the map. I have not watched it again. I've only read it because I do this podcast, then the weekly articles, then the newsletter, then this book attempt, then the script attempt, and I exist in this sort of... It's like a hamster wheel with a little keyboard on the side, and the wheel actually really makes the keyboard harder to work with, so nothing is really cooperating with each other there.
My sort of external imagination of what your life is like is, I don't know, I guess somewhere between 30 Rock and, I don't know.
I guess scale 30 Rock down to my relative and non-entity like it's 3 Rock. I gotta find me a Tracy Morgan or a Jenna Maroney.
30,
Actually, no,
178th Street.
I think I found too many Jenna Maronis, but whatever. That's a whole other thing. So.
I tell you that I met her actress in real life, a couple of years ago.
That is awesome.
Yeah, very. Obviously, the character is so unhinged that whoever plays her is going to feel extremely normal by comparison, but just one of the most normal,
by universal
celebrity-ish, adjacent, people I have encountered. And
that is super cool.
I have found that celebrity or celebrity adjacent folks are often quite weird. She was very, very not weird.
Oh, maybe that's all shoved deep down inside.
Everyone's just a little bit.
Now, when it comes to this Dandadan business, up front, I did very much enjoy it. It has a impressive consistency, and because I can't be a good person for more than 20 seconds in a row discussing something, I just have to say, as this thing takes off, as the world wakes up, being right about Jujutsu Kaisen so early feels so fucking good. I feel like I was standing on the bow of that fucking ship 3 years ago with a telescope saying, "Is anyone concerned about the iceberg of storytelling ahead?"
God, I love petty vindication, don't you?
It feels right, Seb. It feels right. Of course, it could always shit the bed. I have been hurt before. I had my Kaiju number 8 experience.
The pieces were all there. The pieces for Kaiju number 8 and its, downfall, I guess, were all there. I was watching it as the anime was airing, and I was thinking to myself, there's a whole lot of really not good decisions already. And to have heard that they continue making not good decisions as the show goes on is disappointing, although not exceptionally surprising.
It's disappointing in terms of that sort of set of tropes that you could call the, Shonen Jump's like go-tos, break glass in case of emergency, sort of the pasteurization process.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like when one of your friends finds religion late in life.
Ugh.
And you can just slowly see the interesting parts of them either get sanded off or, more tragically, directly repressed.
Have any of our, respective people found religion late in, quote unquote, late in life yet?
I've had a few people on the Ivy Land side, not in our overlap though that might just be local social influences and whatnot.
Yeah, I feel like it's not happened to me yet. I haven't run into anyone who's gone to Jesus land yet, or I guess what other land could there be? Allah land?
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's just sort of going to seed. I think it's this thing where your personality dies and half of it comes back 3 days later.
It's I liken it to you take an ice cream scoop to your brain.
We respect all paths equal. Oh, fuck it. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Okay, you know what I'm about. Moving on. Back to
It's
Dandadan.
like I've been doing. I've been on this shit since high school. I'm not like no, I don't. I don't respect it.
There are conflicts. The thing I wanted to note about this off the bat is that it has. I don't want to say it's a trick because it's just good storytelling, like you want to manipulate the mood of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But Dandadan is one of those interesting works that it's not that chaotic, but it engenders that feeling very well. Its delivery of like its story, its elements, its characters. Like everyone that describes it, the first thing will be, man, it's fucking crazy, and it's very. I think it's very well done. I think it's very artful. It's not It's not
That's
a coke
actually
trip. What?
that's an interesting rephrasing of a minor critique that I had, which is that it's not quite as weird as its premise seems to suggest that it is, or its premise seems to advertise that it is. Maybe it just means that it's easier to follow than something as weird as its elevator pitch would suggest. And I think it's yeah. No, ultimately it is probably just a good thing overall. It's like yes, it is far more conventionally told, I guess, than a truly weird fucking manga might be.
Yeah,
But
we're not
this
reading
is Shonen
like Fire
Jump
Punch
at the
here.
end of the day. Yeah, exactly. Like this isn't Fire Punch. This isn't like some weird shit or another. And it doesn't insist upon itself. It doesn't ever rest on its laurels, I guess you could say. The way that sort of not even laurels, but it doesn't ever sit there and bask in its own perceived brilliance the way that, say, like Dear Anime did. Did we already talk about Dear Anime? Did I already go
You
on
have
my
mentioned Dear Anime. You haven't gone into any kind of detail about it. I looked at Dear Anime and I got it, and then I did something more constructive in my fucking day, which is my
Yeah,
fucking review.
Okay, if I've already gone into it a little bit, I don't have that much more to say besides I maybe it's just because in the West we have one theater tradition and in Japan there's another theater tradition. So different things are funny here, for us who have grown up with that than are funny over there, and they've grown up with, the theater tradition and the literary tradition that they have. But I just don't quite when part of the joke is explaining the joke to
Oh
the
man, it
audience,
fucking
even.
kills me every fucking time.
I just a part of me just fucking just the joy in me dies, and maybe I did just need to grow up in Japan, right? Maybe I did need to grow up in Japan. Maybe I needed to grow up with Rakugo and Kabuki theater as like the two of like the big traditional theater influences in just sort of how television and animation, film, etc. all plays out. Just the more text than subtext kind of thing that they've got going on. But I don't know. I don't think that they think that I'm stupid here, but just
I don't know, man. My inner schoolyard bully is too fucking strong. I've been through too many prison schools to assume that there is some kind of gap in understanding in how much of a joke's life and air is released into the system by just having someone scream the previous punchline 3 times.
that is true. Yeah, because there's too much. there are too many really funny anime out there that are funny without that. Even if they do also do it, but they also do the joke too. Like they will actually have a joke, and then someone might just do the thing where they scream about how funny it was, but after the joke is over.
It occurs to me that I haven't actually described what Dandadan is so much. Maybe that's just me assuming it's general fame, but I guess part of the work here is setting the context for what this is.
I've been calling it podcast anime.
Podcast anime?
Maybe it's just because my favorite podcast is Last Podcast on the Left, and it's just, whatever shit from there, minus serial killers. Just all the various supernatural adjacent episodes just shoved into...
Oh man, isn't even minus serial killers? It seems like half the ghost backstories is just someone who got fucking like turbo granny.
That's true. Like, okay, so they folded the serial killer bit into the ghost bit.
Yep. So yeah, this is a supernatural action comedy romance. Okay, that's 4 genre tags, and we gotta throw a kumite between these mothers. It's an action comedy.
Action comedy, horror elements, horny elements, just weird fucking elements. It reminds me of early Bleach as well as Fooly Cooly to a degree.
Those are better comparisons than what I was going to say, because I was having trouble with this one comparison, because like in terms of being a gish of elements, and you'll see why it's a bad comparison in a second, but I was gonna come and say, so this kind of reminds me of like Tenchi didn't fucking suck. Does that make sense? Because is it like a sci-fi thing? It was a harem romance thing.
Yeah, I kind of remember Tenchi.
It was a comedy thing. It also bit ass.
I didn't watch too many of those OVAs from that golden age of OVAs that they talk about.
You've also never chewed much glass, so
I don't know. I've chewed some glass in my time. I've inhaled some chemicals.
Oh, are we doing that sequel to Handshakers?
Oh, right, there fucking is one.
That one
How?
it's more tolerable than Suicide Squad Isekai in my head in terms of like sit down, but I think it's also maybe just that less of that branding resentment.
God, fucking yeah.
Anyway, Dandadan. It's a composite of all of those elements. I was very concerned because I opened it and I immediately saw Ghost Hunting High School, and you could just imagine me screaming into a paper bag and wondering when my long night would end.
Well, remember, one of the most entertaining anime of all time is a Ghost Hunting High School anime. Now, This is because of the really fucking silly dub that they made, because the show itself was really bad.
We are talking about Ghost Stories, which is a moment in gag dub, e.g. the recording crew fucking around history. It's a lot like what happened with the whole viral Bible Black thing.
I'm going to also put forward early Pokemon as an example of a gag dub.
Early Pokemon, the whole Duel Masters thing. Basically, if I managed to infiltrate a voice booth, the kind of thing that might happen.
Sometimes you just need to put a whole bunch of kind of bored, underemployed, ADR people in a booth together with not a whole lot of mandate to keep things faithful, and you end up with something kind of magical.
Oh, the sorcery is real, and I would go to the gag dub Ghost Stories theme park. I kind of miss those one-off themed theme parks. Actually, no. It's not that they're not there anymore. It's just that when I go outside, I'm just jumping off of things.
It's not where we're going anymore, yeah.
Okay, so one kind of growing up, I guess. Another kind of growing up, I guess, is this thing's strain of horny madness.
And man, emphasis on the horny part, because that is a very, very what would I call it? It seems to be one of the more primary elements of the series.
It's really going for it on that front, and I was trying to figure out why I'm in this space with it where I am more tolerant of it, and I'm still like 10% eye rolls at the times. And I think one of the biggest things with it is that it's more about it. Like, it is just very much about the whole sexual coming of age shit.
Yeah, it very much commits to that. It's which I respect, because
Yeah, it's like I know it's like one thing when it just sort of sideswipes your fucking like boxing anime.
Yeah, I have a pet peeve with anime specifically, which is where it'll sort of the whole like horny or at the very least, just like rom-com elements of a series will be there sort of as an afterthought or as a well, we're contractually obligated to include this because, engagement. Oh god. Readership. Fucking because it'll keep readers engaged if like that is a plot thread, even if I don't really want to write it. I just being whatever mangaka.
Yeah,
and
the royal eye.
The royal eye, yeah. And so when it's done like that, it can feel somewhat cheap, somewhat like, come on, what the fuck is this? Thankfully, it's not the case in this one. It's like it's a very, like I said, it's a very front and center part of the whole thing's premise.
Also, on a basic level, it just has enough of a decent sense of humor that it kind of moves the margins, I guess.
Yeah.
There's something to just be said for overall confidence. And, I can pretend to be as smart as I want to be, but it is just funny to me that ghosts have stolen this boy's testicles.
They've stolen... They cut off his chances. Well,
And
originally.
And I don't have to question any of his engagement with any of this insane danger. Because the ghosts have one of his balls.
They've got one of his fucking balls. I mean, like, I'm so relieved and happy for him that very early on he manages to nab one of them back. Right? That's just give the dog a bone here.
I would have had some questions
or let
about
the dog
morale
bone.
if you could get like some of the equipment going.
Like you can do it. You could get it done with one. You could there's no.
You can live with one. You can have an enjoying, fulfilling life. There's just this sort of grumbly, like, oh, motherfucker.
There's like this little, oh man, I wish that I had both. Still, it's you're the only one who's bothered by it, right?
Yeah. The others are saying, hey, your other ball's having a great singles run, but you just remember that tag finisher that they used to have.
You're just.
Oh,
you're used to playing doubles. You're used to playing doubles, and it's weird not having that guy to your right.
Another thing, and maybe I'm only speaking to the first 30 chapters here. I don't know what happens. Hopefully things stay fresh, but the clip that things move at also makes a difference. Like I guess it just doesn't. Honestly, anything that would really normally annoy me, you don't even really dwell on for too long.
Yeah, it moves along. It doesn't really stay. It doesn't mire itself in anything, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's very committed to its pace, and this goes for the action too, by the way, which is nice for the kind of improvisational, make shit up types of fights that this enjoys dearly.
I'm very. I've been pleased with how the action plays out in this series, as it's less. It has this kind of kineticism to it that is not necessarily atypical of shonen fighting stuff, but it doesn't fall into
it's off
the
trend.
Frequent pitfall. Yeah, it doesn't end up in the frequent pitfall of just people kind of just sitting around, kind of. And then the next beat happens, and then they sit around, and then the next beat happens. It kind of is moving, just both in terms of the geography of scenes and just the pace of scenes. Just everything just moves along at a pretty nice pace.
It definitely has the opposite feeling of those comics that feel a little more turn-based in their action in this Mailu.
Yeah. I think after the last couple hundred chapters of Naruto, that's a pretty easy way to score points with yours truly. Just don't do that. Don't be like that.
Here's a psychological lesson for you guys, by the way. When you read 700 chapters or something, whether you like or dislike that thing, it is part of your fucking personality now.
Yeah, that's just there now. That's just and like I have a whole thing about paneling these days that I didn't used to have. I get really, really stuck on bad paneling, and I get so excited about good paneling. And that was one of the other things that kind of that endeared me, let's say, to this series, is the paneling is pretty fantastic just across the board.
One of the achievements in paneling is specifically the entire crab chase chapter, which is also sort of this mass
Crab,
zombie.
crab.
Yeah, that the premise itself is also amusing, but just the way everything is framed, it goes from scenario to scenario. I remember the sort of panel where I'm like, okay, this series has me for a long time. I think is just when they realize they can't steer and they go careening through that barricade, and it's drawn in such a way where you feel both the Looney Tunes quality of them careening through it and the sort of Goonies type of terror that they would feel in that experience. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that whole streak really impressed me, appealed to me. I have enjoyed so far in the first 30 chapters. Again, I think can change the consistency in the art as well.
Yes, I like how it does its visual humor. One bit that I'm remembering right now is okay. Here's all right. How do I put it? There's one gag that, like, it's a recurring gag, and it's a recurring visual gag, which the author seems to like a whole lot, which is, Okaroon is, I don't know, planking, I guess. Just like the dude just being fired like a torpedo at things, or firing himself like a torpedo at things.
You know that, like, character selection screen pose, hands flat on the side, maybe a soldier before they put their hands up in a salute?
Well, I think the idea is that he's supposed to be, fully erect.
Yeah.
But
again, they bake all the puberty sex stuff sort of.
Oh yeah, it's very thorough. They're very thorough about it. He does the subtext and the text are they're on speaking terms, which is great because that doesn't always happen. I remember a particular favorite gag of mine was kind of later on in the 31st chapters that we read, where he just yeets himself into the shrubs to avoid talking to ISA.
There are a lot of good awkward beats in the relationship. It commits to the fact that they don't really know what they're doing or why half the time.
Yeah, because they're like 16 years old. Did you? I fucking didn't.
Bro, I don't know why I did what I did like last month.
I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah, exactly.
It is kind of crazy. I'm going on a fucking date after this. I'm gonna make choices worse than anything Okaroon chooses in this fucking comic book. And later I'm going to go, I don't know why it happened. I guess it's just poor old unlucky me.
He makes pretty well-reasoned choices, all things considered. It's just that...
Actually, one thing that does give this a lot of rope is that he just decided to make Okaroon rational. He even cuts down one of those fucking miscommunication plots by half by just having it come up with some kind of communication superpower. It's like, no, this is what I was actually doing.
It's like, hey, we're gonna shut the fuck up for a second. I'm gonna fucking tell you what actually happened. Hey.
If I die today, it's because of the crab monsters, not because of this argument.
So I did appreciate that. I honestly... One sec. Dog problems. Loading. Thank you.
As Dog CQC unfolds, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, How to Dodge a Cannonball by Denard T. Dale. Coming to bookstores near you in June 2025. Please.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I won my Dog CQC, by the way.
By the way, if you're into that, pre-orders evidently just matter more than orders for reasons that are arcane to me, so...
Oh, yeah, that's what I've heard.
So if you want to move the needle, I guess that helps. I appreciate it either way. I don't know if you have lives lived. So... But yeah, I'm proud of that there book.
You should plug the pre-order thing just in every coming episode that we record until next June. I think it'll probably make a difference.
Yeah, that's probably smart. I'll engage with that. Little things like that help. Like, sort of like how making someone's grandma Bayonetta probably helps the numbers in some ways. Her
grandma had me feeling unwise.
It is funnier. It is so much funnier than it should be that their grandma is just Bayonetta in this comic.
Just Bayonetta, apparently canonically 80, apparently, which is just in itself a really fucking good gag. Because no, she's not.
It is one of those straightforward denial of reality kind of bits.
Exactly.
And I guess it just lands the way it's delivered.
I think her grandma is the thing that made it click for me that Fooly Cooley seems to be a pretty primary influence for this series, because she's Haruko. I mean, she's not. That's not. I want to give her credit. It's a good character, besides the fact that very clearly inspired by Haruko, but it's Haruko from Fooly Cooley. She's even voiced by the same voice actress in the dub.
In the same way that Spider Jerusalem is Hunter S. fucking Thompson.
For sure, yeah. So, like, there's a baseball bat and everything. That gag, by the way, just the baseball gag that they did.
Oh, that was wonderful.
20 chapters in, that was that.
For context for the people at home, there is a. I was gonna say elaborate, but it's actually really rapid fire.
It's pretty simple. They find one of his testicles and they pitch it to him like it's a fastball.
Yeah, and then there's a bit of hopping around to selling. It's a good time. It's a good time. Oh, and there's that eternal anime gold ball pun with the testicles, because it's a linguistic joke that must have seemed really strange the first 4 times it made it over here. Like, there's just no context.
You know, I just sort of gold ball. Oh yeah, nuts. Gotcha.
Cool. I'm on board here. Another thing that's going back to the relationship between the main two, Momo and Okarun. What I did find amusing in this is its attitude towards what I can only describe as an intercool relationship.
Oh, what? Just because he's.
Yeah, because, like, you've seen the popular girl, dorky guy thing before, but it just sort of plays in a very arch way with the fact that it's high school, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
And that what they were both up to solo was a species of vacuous.
There's something that I kind of like about this series in that it is very much written about, the current the generation who are currently teenagers right now, and that was an interesting point of contrast between it and Bleach, because Bleach was, for better or for worse, that was us, not us. I mean, it was Japan, right? So completely different cultural milieu, but
arena rap compatible teenagers
for sure, yeah. And so there is an energy to it that I think members of our generation who were teenagers when it was first airing, or like very soon after, because I feel like I was 13, 14 when the show started. So yeah, I was around there. There was an energy to it that I think a whole lot of folks our age kind of found identity with, and I don't know so much.
Arguments have been made. This is not my thought. This is not my thesis. But just interesting relative to your point that a lot of Bleach's highs and lows were sort of when it focused on or tapped that energy, like the sort of rebellion thing that underpinned the original plan for the Soul Society thing before he decided that captains and authority were super cool.
He just, I wonder if he just figured that he came up with, he just liked the character designs too much and was like, no, these are good guys now, I think.
That is what happened. It's one of the weirdest examples of something losing its way.
Funny that. It's like...
As I look here at Dandadan, and I remember Kaiju number 9, Monster number 9, depending on your fucking translation, or 8, whatever, fucking
F.
It's not where I feel this is headed. I just want to talk about my nightmares for a second.
Tell me about your nightmares for a second.
So in my fucking nightmares, there is a point where, like so many energetic or interpersonally insightful fucking youth whatever's beforehand, it just gets caught up and fighting other wizards. Like just generic urban fantasy thing. I don't think that's where it's headed.
Yes, I don't think that's where it's headed. I'd be disappointed if that's where if it were.
I just still feel kaiju's fucking footprints on my spine.
God. That's what ends up happening. That's where it ends up going. God, that's so fucking disappointing.
It takes it in more of a fucking... Do you remember we reviewed that show with the hunting vampires, Vampire War, Bleach Core?
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. It was the kind of
Seraph of the End.
First wave of attack. Yeah, Seraph of the End, like the first wave of like Attack on Titan clones. Yes, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I guess there are always obviously elements of the Attack on Titan thing with the kaiju number 8 thing. That's why they chose fucking kaiju. But it was a fresher, more nuanced take, but whatever. The launch of Dandadan is fine. I just focus on it being fine. I should point out there was one point where I was bored for a second, and then I read the words, "Now my balls are gone." So that's a very nice achievement.
It grabs you, and then pulls really hard.
I will say one of the great compliments I can give this, and it's sort of how I felt about Fire Punch too, but that was a much grimmer ride, was that this was very much a reminder of why I specifically read comics so much. Like what it achieves, the specific tools it uses to do so.
Yeah, just it's extremely just imaginative and does something really interesting with its premise. I mean, it wouldn't. Okay, so the way that it's sort of set itself up is, the villainous or antagonistic forces are all, your yokai, cryptids, alien, UFO shit of the world, and it absolutely could betray this premise. It doesn't look like it wants to do that. We'll have to see, because Bleach didn't seem like it wanted to do that, but it did also bake the whole, I'm from the society of fighting guys, and we all look like this, and have swords, and here's this whole magic system of how these swords operate. So there was like an original sin kind of element to Bleach that is which might, like, retrospectively, which might be there in retrospect, and we can look back and be like, oh yeah, like the clues were there. What with her grandma and the various rules about stuff that she is explaining, like how spirit stuff works, and how like you have to stay local to your own area, otherwise your shit doesn't work. That whole bit, right? That does sort of it's not a red flag, but it does sort of set off my I've read a whole lot of this genre little bells.
Your old war runes.
When I see a magic system being
of the ways that it could metastasize.
Exactly. It's just like this. Okay, so they're building a magic system. It has rules. I've seen this, right? But I am really, what I really like about this is that it is sort of proving a nice little counterpoint to an argument that I've either been hinting at or just explicitly saying throughout like the first run of this series, and just into this one, or into our second run,
R2,
which is the sort of crisis of R2, yeah. Which is the sort of crisis of imagination that I have noticed in anime. Basically, I think I first noticed it when Sword Art Online got big. Yep. Here I am again. I'm back on fucking Isekai because it sucks so fucking much. It sucks so much that it almost destroyed one of the main points of engagement, one of the main points of interest with anime, with weebdom, which is wacky fucking premises and doing weird shit with it. And maybe it's good, maybe it doesn't end up being good, but it's weird premises that no one would have thrown money at in the States, right? So it's this thing that really only could have happened, in Japan, in weebdom. And this is a great example of that. This is a great example of those kind of wackadoo premises and seeing where it goes.
Yeah, this feels much livelier than the kind of things you are restating our intifada against. The way I would put it, no, my perspective on it, because you just have your perspective. You said, and you said it well. While there's always something interesting going on somewhere within a given Mailu, things can go through what is a very clear disco or arena rap period.
For sure, yeah.
And I very much do believe, in my humble opinion, that about 2014 to 2022 is a very Millie kind of point in weebdom. A period of time where what is pop is often more of a follow the leader mindset than even pop normally is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe I should look at the aughts, right? Maybe I should look at the aughts, and because that was like a golden age for the mecha genre, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like the mecha genre so fucking dominated the airwaves, so amazingly dominated the medium the way that isekai did between like 2014, 2022. I don't know. Am I just... No. Is it me or is it the children who are wrong?
Sam, it's the adults who are wrong.
Yeah. No, they're... At the end of the day...
It is people in fucking offices.
It's not the children greenlighting series. Oh, we're being pettier than that. Yes, it is the adults who read and watch this.
Yeah. I'm not the best guy in the world.
Okay.
One little thing I want to note that was very funny to me, and this isn't so much a critique as a sort of a funny, I guess, knock-on effect. Mm-hmm. Dandadan is super committed to its sort of machine gun facing, right? And at one point in the backstory of a ghost, basically the saddest shit in the world happens. And then it's right back to the memes, baby. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't do that.
They pulled a fucking Senor Pink on us.
Yeah, they pulled a fucking Senor Pink. I don't know what the number of federally mandated pages between spoilers, hyper spoilers, backstory of a ghost spoilers. Your ghost who was a human trafficking suicide.
God, fuck.
That lost their daughter.
What the hell, man?
Then it's like, we found one of his balls. Like, no, you can't. Like,
Dandadan, guys, what the
bro? I like this joke. I like this sad backstory. You just can't. Call it one of the weirder effects of serialization in a way too. Like, I'm just reading this in a sprint.
Strange goddamn thing. Yeah, maybe that's... I don't know. I didn't really have time to read this over the course of 30 weeks. So I couldn't really tell you if that whole thing felt less jarring, week to week rather than, over the course of a couple of nights. But
might be an interesting point of comparison is sometimes Spy X Family will just do a chapter about the horrors of war, and then it's like you're trying to bake a cake.
I've decided that I'm going to read Spy X Family or Spy Family if you're not supposed to pronounce the X. I don't know. I've heard different things. I think you're not whatever. It's Hunter x Hunter to me. I guess apparently it's Hunter. No, it's, whatever. Spy X. I've just decided that I'm going to read that once it's over. Once the series concludes, that's when I will read Spy X Family.
Spy X Family kind of fascinates me because I am convinced I could go into DaVinci Resolve, popular free video editing program, and edit that series into either a 5 or 1 out of 5. in terms of like the composite that makes that thing up.
Do there start being arcs? Like, do they start having arcs, or does it stay that episodic? Because that is the giant bug up my ass about Spy X Family, is that
What's your chapter count for an arc? Because they're like 8 chapter. I would call them like adventures, stories.
oh, okay, so like little, like the Justice League cartoon, little two-parter sized arcs.
That kind of shit. That kind of shit.
Okay, I don't necessarily. Maybe I'll give Maybe I'll give the Forger Family Adventures another shot.
Choosing your place in the X debate. So the way I decide it, very arbitrary.
It's hard to say.
I think the X sounds cool. If I like a show, I'll say the X, and if I don't, I'll leave it out.
How many shows do we have? There's Spy X Family, Hunter X Hunter. I feel like there's what's the name of that one fan service anime? Something DxD.
Oh, was that one of the High School of the Dead ones? Or Dance of the... I don't know, there's a lot of shit going on.
Well, it's not High School of the Dead, but High School is, I think, in the name. Is it High School DxD? It's something High School DxD or High School X DxD, but X is, in this case, a variable, not part of the title.
Oh, man. I hope one day we can coin our own version of the fucking Yahtzee semicolon vomit thing. It's kind of funny how some of the habits you build up in any community could kind of work against you. Because I am so used to like the little bonus chapter tags or decimal point chapters, whatever, just pointing towards like meaningless chaff. And in Dandadan, it points towards...
then you got Baboon Man.
You got Baboon Man, which is just the best shit. Baboon Man is canon. He is essential to my understanding of this franchise.
It's pretty fucking peak. It's a pretty peak fucking chapter.
It's a pretty peak chapter. I guess it just breaks the sequence. They were in the middle of a situation where we just felt like telling the story, and I fucking see why.
He wanted to do Soda Can chapter, and just the gag about the Ken Takakura DVD, which featured one of the better reaction shots thus far in the series.
This series' chain of celebrity jokes that I'm not even plugged into are very well baked into it. It definitely helps with the kind of arch slant on teenage life it's going for too.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's weird. I like that I don't get a whole lot of the cultural references that they're making. I think it helps with the show's identity. I think it helps it feel the opposite of generic, I suppose.
Yeah, and it has that thing
There's
of it's a fucking kid. Of course they're into some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess adults are into some shit too.
It's that mixed with yeah, and adults are just I think there was that one gag where she has to impersonate this other Japanese actor who I had to just go look up on IMDb because I didn't quite understand the joke. I didn't understand why she was making that face, and I was like, oh, I kind of see it. All right, yeah. And what I really appreciate is that it makes the series feel like the setting is important to it. Like the setting is important to what it is as a series.
That it matters. That's like a contemporary city.
That it's a Japanese city specifically. That it feels like it must take place there and doesn't feel like it's any old place and incidentally it's Japan. Or it's not as though it's a problem that I see a whole lot where where an anime series will feel generic insofar as its setting.
Yeah, I would describe it more as a particular advantage than like a whole elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That they make the effort they do is noticeable.
One more time?
No, just that they put the effort they do into having it be and feel specifically like, okay, yeah, this is a, like, I think the Tokyo suburbs, I'm pretty sure. I could be entirely wrong. I don't know if they say.
Sidebar, I am really glad I came out of my dumb fucking cut before I started reading this one.
Oh god, because there's so much fucking food all the time. They're always eating. I got so fucking hungry. I went to the deli last night just because they would not stop eating hot pot.
I'm really, really glad to return to the zone of smiles and pressing.
There is.
And I could feel Okaru's
like
struggle to put on size there.
They just seem to be having the most delicious food every 3 or 4 chapters or so. It's like, I don't know,
they're like fucking hobbits.
They're like hobbits, or like, it's like you know how like every One Piece arc ends with them having a party? It's like that, except the arcs are really small, so there's like they're almost always having a little party where they have shabu shabu or something.
Oh man, if I was making this, I think I would just have a background gag where one of them is slowly gaining weight.
God, I kind of want hot pot now, and I'm going at the end of this week. We are both going at the end of this week to one of the worst countries for food in.
All right, hear me out.
In Europe.
Hear me out. So everyone, this is a trip to. This episode comes out Friday. Is this a spoiler? We're going to Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Hear me out, Sam.
Yeah.
We might not survive it. Hot pot tour of Ireland.
That's gonna be a really fucking quick tour, Denard. I feel like there's maybe a place in Dublin and a place in Cork.
It's gonna be so cash, Sam. It's gonna be so cash.
But I had ramen there last time I was there.
Why?
Like 2022. Because it was like, oh yeah, ramen. It was chicken noodle soup, essentially. I basically had chicken noodle soup and a ramune.
Oh man, I hope you enjoyed your fucking reheated Costco ramen.
You know what? I did, because I was already drunk.
Good system. Good system. Anyway, this is Dandadan. I'm going to do a thing now where sometimes psychologically it's easier to commit the bullshit when you just say it out loud. But whether you want to pay me or not, you can get our RSS feed also on fucking Patreon.
Ooh, yes.
Weeaboo Hell is... We have a lot of side clips and the, like, arranged and, honestly, I just have a insane person strategy diagram. It just has to be there, and if you enjoy the show and our return from the grave against all COVID mass death odds, then check out Weeaboo Hell on Patreon. As you can imagine, it'll probably... Let me double check the fucking URL. I'm pretty sure it's patreon.com/weeaboohell.
We'll be adding more and more content to it, you know, just as you as we progress through these next few months.
The one thing that has been holding us back, I'm gonna be honest with people. I'm gonna be very honest right now. I'm gonna be way too honest. Because I have to manually add the old episodes as individual posts, I've just sort of looked at that pile and gone, not today, Dad. That's a lot of clicking. But I'm going to do the clicking. I now have to do it before I put this episode out, or I will be out of a little dignity.
Godspeed, Denard. I'm going to go in the opposite direction and go figure out a haircut for myself because I'm getting married next Thursday.
Everyone, thank Mr. Go and wish him happy nuptials.
It's finally happening.
He has achieved this despite being in my general chaos orbit this long, which is fucking magical.
I don't know how I made it happen. We were procrastinating, Morgan and I, for so goddamn long. There's the executive dysfunction.
Well, sometimes if you procrastinate long enough, your editor says, get this done or I'll find you and eat you.
Honestly, that's not too amazingly inaccurate of a sum up there.
You know, it just might be like a parent or a grandparent or sibling, whatever the fuck. Anyway, thank you all for listening.
For sure. Was that the correct URL? just before we sign off?
Oh, that's a great point. I should really double check that. All right. Yep. Patreon.com/weeaboohell.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell. Eat shit, Eric. Peace.
Okay, back. Sorry about that.
What, for having a human body? Hey man. The entire benefit of staying out of the Twitch minefield of inhumanity and poop socking is that you can get up when you feel like getting up.
Whenever I fucking want to. Yeah, that was... I find that I do better. I find that I have more interesting things to say after a couple of cups of coffee. But, coffee.